Hey, Gina, guess what?
What's that?
I think we are live on
We
the
are
internet.
live.
Hey, welcome to the Writing Momentum Podcast. We're recording this live on New Year's Day. Happy New Year's
Happy 2025.
and Merry Christmas to any of you we haven't said Merry Christmas to yet.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah,
Oh, really? You're going to go through all the holidays?
Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. You know what would really make my New Year happy?
I don't know. What would it be?
It would be moving the needle.
Moving the needle.
This is what we're talking about right here. This is moving the needle. You know, we all have goals that we want to achieve with our writing and in other areas of life. And this is always a great time of year to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to get my goals down on paper. I'm going to put this in writing and say, this is what I'm going to stick to. And then on January 2nd, we can put it in a drawer and forget about it until the next year. No, we don't want to do that.
Hopefully not.
No, we want to move the needle. And so what does that mean? Well, that means actually writing down your goals and making them SMART goals. We love SMART goals. SMART goals came from like 1981 and they're still powerful today. Like
they are
still, you know, I should probably use a microphone. I just realized my microphone was nowhere near me. So if you haven't been able to hear us, sorry about that. But yeah, goal setting is one of those things that's, I think, super important for authors. It's super important for anyone who wants to get a creative work done. Otherwise, it can just take forever. But instead, by setting small, achievable, SMART goals, we can get our writing done. So that's what we're going to talk about today on the podcast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of times where people will think that there's this misconception really, that you kind of have to wait for inspiration, that when inspiration strikes, somehow the work is going to get done. And that's really not what we have found to be true. There have been many times that we have had things that we've wanted to do, and until we have put them on our calendar and really made room and space for them in our life, they just didn't happen. I mean, and it wasn't that some of those things that don't happen aren't as important to us, right? Some of those things we really do get to the point where it's like, is this really what I want to spend my time doing? But there are those things that are those passion projects that we want to get done, like writing our book or getting published. And the truth of the matter is, guys, it just takes dedication and consistency to get there. And so because that does not come naturally always to us, because our lives are full, we have 3 kids, we have clients that we're working for, we have volunteer projects that we're a part of, we have other things that we're doing, because we have all of these things fighting for our attention. It takes really effort and a plan like Move the Needle for us to get it done.
So that's where this plan comes in. So this is the ebook that we ended up creating because we shared this with several people and they're like, hey, can you get that down on paper for us? So that was what we've done here. If you go to writingmomentum.com, and you'll see it down there at the bottom of the page where you can just put in your name and email, and the ebook will come right to your email as a PDF, and then you can print it out and that sort of thing. And what we thought we'd do today is we would just bring you through basically what Move the Needle is all about setting those goals. So if you want to set some goals with us over the next 10 minutes or so, you're welcome to. Because what we like to do is not set necessarily year-long goals, only year-long goals, because setting a year-long goal is a great overview idea of what we want to do, but it's a little much to try and keep track of all year long unless you break it into bite-sized pieces. And that's what this is about. We like to break our goals into 6-week stints that we do, that we can easily measure as we go along in those 6 weeks how we're doing with our goal. And it may be a smaller goal that feeds into that larger goal. So for instance, if my larger goal is to write a fiction book by the end of the year, then my 6-week goal might be to research that book, right? So that I'm ready to start writing in the next 6 weeks. So should we jump right into this?
Let's jump into it.
Let's do. We by the way just spent some time with we just had a great writing time with our writing momentum group. If you're not part of a writers group and you'd like to become a part of a writers group that meets every single week, come over to writingmomentum.com, and we've got a membership that you can join. It's very low cost, and it's a great way for you to have your writing time be accountable every single week. And we went through an entire session working on this together with our group, and we really had some great questions and great breakthroughs as we went through that. So this is called...
Well, I just want to point out when Chris is talking about accountability, it's really just for you to set a goal for yourself, that you set the time for yourself, that every week I'm going to show up for this. It is not about us holding your feet to the fire that, did you get this done, and getting all intrusive into your life.
Yeah,
it's not that.
It's not an intrusive thing, but it is a way to hold your own feet to the fire by not just being accountable to yourself, right? To know that, hey, I'm going to have this on my calendar and I'm going to meet with a group of people. That helps me know I got to kind of get my stuff done before we meet together. And by doing that, it helps you progress in your writing. And we've had many writers who've worked with us who've said, man, if it weren't for this, they've said, this is the anchor of my week, this writing time together. And so that's really encouraging always to hear.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's jump in.
All right, so we're going to jump into it. So for moving the needle, the first thing we like to do is to write down what our overall goal is. So for me, I'm going to say my overall goal, I'm writing a book about writing. It's kind of meta, right? So I'm writing a book about writing, and so that's my goal, is I want to write my book about writing. But that is way too broad. So after figuring out what it is that I want to move the needle on, my book about writing, this is where we're going to start putting it through this filter, SMART, to make it a SMART goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of the SMART goal started in I think the business world.
Yeah.
And we have taken that and really honed it or kind of shifted it a little bit for writers. So that's what we perfected it.
Yeah.
That's what this is. So if you've heard about SMART goals, you probably have heard it in terms of the vision or direction of a company. But you know what? We've said writing is a business, and whether you do it just casually kind of on the side or whether it is your main source of income, it's still a business that you're working. So
That's right.
that's what we're working on. So move the needle. We've got first our overarching big 6-week goal that we want to do.
We've got that goal. Now what we want to do is put it through these filters. So the first thing we need to ask is it specific? So for me, I like to, if I'm writing a book, for instance, I'm not just going to say I want my goal to be writing a book. I want to say I want to write a 10-chapter book of about, let's say, 50,000 words. Okay. That is a lot more specific. And I want to have it done by July 1st of 2025.
So basically, you're adding the math into it, right? You're adding the numbers.
I like adding numbers into it because
you're adding numbers.
That, as you'll see as we go to these next few steps, and knowing the numbers is really, really helpful.
It's not just I'm writing a book, but it's I'm writing this kind of book. It's going to be this long or this many chapters, or I'm going to write, and we can talk about this as we get more into this, how many minutes we're going to spend writing it each week, how many pages or words it's going to be, all of those things.
So that's the next one, is measurable. If we want to talk about how is it measurable? How can I know that what I've done, I have accomplished? That's what we're going to do in this session. So if we know that we want to write, for instance, I want to write a nonfiction book over the next 6 weeks, what do I have to do to let myself know that I've actually accomplished that thing? So, for instance, I can't write the whole book in the next 6 weeks. So what I can do, though, is write 1,000 words a week. Okay. So that's my measure. I'm writing 1,000 words a week, or maybe I'm going to say I'm going to write for 45 minutes per week. Okay, something like that. You want it to be measurable, because then at the end of the week, you can look back and say, did I write 1,000 words? Did I write for 45 minutes? Did I do that thing that I wanted to measure? And am I now behind or am I now ahead? Right? That's why we want it to be measurable. So in this case, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to write 1,000 words a week. Now, This is also important because if I know my book has to be 50,000 words and I'm only allowing myself to write 1,000 words a week as my goal, how long is it going to take me to finish that book?
50 weeks.
50 weeks. See?
It's the math.
It's the math.
Who said math never intersects with writing and creativity? It does.
But this is super insightful because if I thought I was going to write my book 1 hour a week and now I know that it's going to take 50 weeks, didn't I say I want to have it done by July 1st? Well, that means I have to do more than 1 hour a week, doesn't it? So now I've got to write at least 2 hours a week to have it done by then. So that now informs me and lets me know, do I want to add writing time? Do I want to change my due date, right? Make it measurable so that you get a clearer picture of exactly what you're working on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, what's A? Oh, I'm messing with our graphic there. Sorry about that, y'all. What's our next step, Gina?
A.
She's
Achievable.
looking at the cheat sheet.
Wait a minute. What was the word? It's achievable. It has to be achievable because I think it's very often that we set these goals. Like Chris said, I'm going to write a book in 6 weeks. And as he's working through this, he realizes that's not even possible. I can't. Possible. You could if you had nothing else on your plate,
right.
Maybe. But even then, you'd probably just get like a rough draft done, and there would still probably be quite a bit of work left to do. So it just gives a good frame of reference and gives you clarity of what you can achieve. Is your goal achievable? When you really look at your life, what you've got going on, you've got children, work, volunteer, community events, social life, those kind of things. What is it that you can realistically achieve? But you do want your goal to be achievable.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be, too easy. Like if you can finish it this week and it's not going to take the full 6 weeks, well, then maybe you need to change your goal to make it a little more 6 week in the 6 week range, something that would take 6 weeks. But if it's something that you say, well, yeah, when I look at my life, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that, then break that goal down. Yes. Just make sure that it is achievable.
Then the next thing you want to do for the R is you want to make sure your goal is relevant. Now, this is actually a really interesting part here. I actually prefer to do this first because otherwise you just wasted a lot of time. Because the relevant is asking yourself, does this goal that I am setting really align with what I am trying to accomplish this year and with who I am as an individual? Is this what I want to do? And that doesn't mean that the goal is right or wrong. It's just, is this fitting with what I'm wanting to do at this particular time? For instance, I would ask myself, if I'm wanting to write this nonfiction book on writing, is that really what I'm feeling burn inside me right now? Or is it that I'm wanting to write a fiction book? Because if that's what it is, then this project really isn't relevant for this time period. And so this is just a good measure. It's a good filter to work things through and say, is this relevant for my life right now? That's why I like doing this first, actually, but then the acronym would be all messed up. SMART, the R would come first and it'd be RSMAT or something. So that doesn't work. Right.
Doesn't sound as positive either.
Doesn't sound as positive.
But that is really true. I think that's you've been using this word quite a bit here lately, this idea of alignment. Mm-hmm. Is what you are working on aligning with your overall goal? And is it aligning with what you want or need to accomplish this coming year? And I think that's a great way of just asking, is it aligning with the direction that you feel called or feel drawn to walk in?
Yes.
And there might be some projects. There's a lot of great ideas. I know you're probably a creative person who can come up with 50 great ideas, but what sometimes we call the God idea? What is that idea that truly has that touch of divine inspiration to it, something that you really feel like you should be doing.
Yeah, that's good. And then the T on this is time bound. Now, here's where the magic comes in. We've actually made this time bound through this little workbook we've got here. For those of you watching online, I keep messing with the graphic, and I apologize for that. Okay, so what we want to do here, though, is we want to create smart actions. I'm going to jump ahead. We want to create smart actions that actually make this something that we can do in the next 6-week period. So what I like to do is I like to set, first of all, the 6 weeks. I like to put the due dates on here. So if this is January 1st today, which it is, what do I want to accomplish in week 1, which ends January 8th? And then what do I want to accomplish in week 2, which ends January 15th, and so on. If you do that with us today, you will find that this ends on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. So it's really good to say, okay, my 6-week goals between now and Valentine's Day, that week. Yeah.
That week.
Yeah. So what do I want to accomplish each week? Well, it may be as simple as saying, I know I want to write 1,000 words a week. And so my week 1 smart action is write 1,000 words. My week 2 is write 1,000 words. My week 3 is write 1,000 words. I would encourage you to also maybe put the date and time for each one of those when you're going to write those 1,000 words in there. Try to be as specific as you can. But here's what I found when I started filling this out for myself for my project. Yes, I want to write a nonfiction book and start that over the next 6 weeks. But I realized when I was starting to write out what I was going to do each week, I thought, wait a second, I've also got to do research for this book. I can't just write 1,000 words a week. I've got to do research for each chapter. So realistically, my first 6 weeks on week 1, I want to research chapters 1 and 2. On week 2, I want to research chapters 3 and 4. I want to find quotes. I want to find stories. I want to find things that support what I'm talking about in the chapter. And when I finished doing that, I realized my first 6 weeks was mostly research. I would not have thought of that had I not sat down and done this. I would have just said, I'm just going to write 1,000 words a week. And then what would have happened? About week 3, I would have felt like I'm not getting my goals done because my goal was to write 1,000 words a week. And instead, I am spending all my time researching. But that's okay. That's part of the process. So that's why we're working through this so that we can know that what we're doing is actually what we're needing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's so good. That's so good. I think there's something about going through this kind of process that really does help you shine a light on the areas where you've forgotten.
Yes.
And really help you bring some maybe some what would it be? The things that your expectations more into alignment. I'll use that word again. I know for myself, I have trouble sometimes with time. You know this about me.
Not you.
Where I will say, oh, I can do that in a day. And Chris is over on the side going, that's going to take you a week. That's going to take you way more than what you're expecting.
Because most of us do this. We're very optimistic when it comes to the things we can do. The things we always overcommit ourselves, right?
Right. So going through this process of really breaking it down, it just really helps to say, okay, yeah. And it also helps so that you're no longer looking at this big goal, but you're looking at, okay, this week, all I have to do is this.
Yes.
I don't have to write the book. I just have to research chapters 1 and 2.
Right.
I don't have to write the book. I just have to write 1,000 words. I don't have to write the 50,000 word book, just 1,000 words.
Yeah. So, and this will work not just for writing, but you could put in your health goals through a filter like this. Any other goals, financial goals, put them in a filter like this, and you'll have realistic goals that you can set. And then what we do is when the 6 weeks is up, we do it all again. And we're starting now with having finished our first 6 week SMART goal. And now we're working to week 2. And by the end of the year, hopefully we'll have finished that book, or by July or whenever our goal was. Yeah.
And then the last thing that I would add is just making sure you write it down so that you are looking at it each week. You've got these due dates that you've written down for yourself. So by this day, I have to have this. But if you then take this and put it in a drawer, it'll be real easy to forget it. So I know for Chris, he'll look at his week at the end of the week on Fridays. A lot of times he'll come back and he'll say, okay, what did I accomplish this week? I do it on the other side. I do it on Sunday afternoons is when I sit down and plan out my week. And I actually look at what appointments do I have and what commitments do I have and what deadlines do I have and where do I need to be at what time. And then I see what space I have for maybe these projects that I'm wanting to do. So I can go ahead and pin them in at the beginning of the week so that I know, first of all, at least I have the 1 hour of writing momentum that we get together on Wednesdays. But also, in addition to that, I might have a couple of hours on Thursday, or I might have an hour on Monday afternoon that I can do it. And so I start working those in each week and really setting them down and writing them in.
That's right. Hey, we hope you accomplish all your goals this year. Please go to writingmomentum.com, get this free ebook called Move the Needle. You'll see the link. It's somewhere at the bottom of the page. It's absolutely free. And then do check out, while you're there, check out our membership, because we'd love to have you join us each week. It's only $25 to join us for a month. And we have we meet together 4 times during that month doing co-writing. We have roundtable sessions. We have critique sessions. We got literally hundreds of training videos on writing that you can enjoy, all as part of the membership. So come on in, join us. We'd love to see you there, and get your ebook today.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope you have an amazing start to 2025, an amazing 2025 in whole. I know a lot of us are 2024 is done and we're looking for a new start. And if that's you, we're right there with you. And we hope that you will join us however you can. Join us for Writing Momentum. Join us through our social media. Join us on YouTube. Just join us, because we are rooting for you.
That's right. And we're not in this thing alone.
That's right.
Together,
we have Writing Momentum.
Bye-bye.